had a real bad history. I'll close with this part here coming up. Here's what happened with replacement theology because of the church fathers' attitude toward the Jews. How many of you believe our media is biased? Well, do you know the translators of your Bible were biased as well? And you have all these different English translations, everyone putting in their own bias. Let me ask you, what is the Greek word for church? Ecclesia. Okay? Do you know the word ecclesia and the word synagogue were synonyms? They meant the same thing. Back then, they both meant assembly. A Mariners baseball game is an ecclesia. A Mariners baseball game is a synagogue. They were synonyms, and they meant the word assembly. But what happens in our translations? If you go to Acts chapter 7, verse 37 and 38, here it says, "This is that Moses which said to the children of Israel, A prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me, him you hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness." Do you really think there was a church in the wilderness that Moses was referring to? You know what the word is? It's ecclesia. But they want to give the idea that the church Christianity started back then. No, it's the assembly. You remember the ancient statue of Diana that the Ephesians all worshipped? Okay? In ancient times, Diana was the goddess of the Ephesians. Her Greek name was Artemis, and she was also represented as Astarte. We'll look at Acts 19, 34 and 35, and verse 40 and 41. When they knew that, Paul was a Jew, all with one voice, about the space of 2 hours, they cried out, "Great is Diana of the Ephesians." And when the town clerk had appeased the people, he said, "You men of Ephesus, what man is there that doesn't know how the city of the Ephesians is a worshiper of the great goddess Diana and of the image which fell down from Jupiter? For we are in danger to be called into question for this day's uproar, there being no cause whereby we may give an account of this concourse." And when he had thus spoken, he dismissed the ecclesia. Oops, we better not put church here, or they'll think the church was worshiping the great goddess Diana. So where we want to translate ecclesia as church, we will. But if we don't like it, then we won't. Then we'll use the word assembly. Well, synagogue, as you know, also meant assembly. You see in Acts 18:26. "And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue." Here's the word synagogue. But look at James chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. "If there come into you your synagogue a man with a gold ring," oh my goodness, we can't let everyone think they were meeting in the synagogue. So we're going to take the word synagogue and translate it assembly here. But then look at Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. It says, "Those that are of the synagogue of Satan," at synagogue. Ooh, we like synagogue here. We don't want to put those of the assembly of Satan. So let's take synagogue and translate it assembly here, and translate it as synagogue here, and ecclesia will translate it church here and not here. You're going to find this all through your Bible, I'm sorry to say. You know the first handwritten English language Bible when it was written? The first handwritten English language Bible, the manuscripts, was written by John Wycliffe in the 1380s. How about the first printed one? Of course, you had to wait for the printing press. But Miles Cloverdale and John Thomas Matthew Rogers had remained loyal disciples the last 6 years of Tyndale's life. They carried the English Bible project forward and even accelerated it. And Coverdale finished translating the Old Testament, and in 1535, notice this, in 1535, he printed the first complete Bible in the English language, making use of Luther's German text and the Latin as sources. So here's part of the problem with the English. We get the English from German and Latin, not from the Hebrew. Thus, the first complete English Bible was printed on October 4th, 1535, and is known as the Coverdale Bible. Now, when you realize that the church, is that English or German or Latin or Greek or Hebrew? Church is what? English. So in one sense, there was no church in the New Testament. There was only assemblies. That might be a heavy thought for people because they read about the church in the New Testament. Well, don't think of a Christian church. Think of the synagogue, the assemblies. That's what there was there.